What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's good, what's good, what's goody? Get in here, get in here, get in here. Come here. Get in here. Get in here. Come here. What's good? Coming up on tonight's edition of Good News Travel Fast.
Isn't it right? I'm just going to go boom and kick you in the face.
What's that going to do?
Listen, pig's eyes. Oi, pig's eyes. I was going to be respectful to you, but oi, pig's eyes.
Little John, be quiet.
Listen, Little John, you could leave my son Tyson's name out of your mouth.
What?
Leave his name out of your mouth. You're good enough to suck his
real.
dick,
Tyson come to spar me, and I treated him like a baby.
Yeah, no, wait,
Tommy.
You couldn't treat me like a baby.
Little John,
Pig's eyes.
Little John,
Pig's eyes.
Turns out that Michael Irvin's sources are his buddies, a group of British pikeys. We know about much what they're talking about is Irvin knows what he's talking about. More behind the scenes action as we delve into all things college football, CU, college football playoff, looking on the Nuggets. Oh yeah, and pikeys. These are, I'm telling you, these are Michael Irvin's homeboys. These are his sources. That's all tonight on Good News Travel Fast. Come on, let's go, guys.
And now it's time to play everybody's favorite game.
Good news. Good news.
We are having that combination. Jesus Christ. We can't run.
Oh, yeah, you made it. You made it. Yay. All the way to the end of your Tuesday. Look at that. And look what's waiting on you. Right at 7 o'clock. Mountain Standard. Unless you're over here on the East Coast with me, then it's 9. Not late at all. I don't feel punchy at all. How you doing? How's your day been? Good News Travel Fast. I am Oren Lamena. One more round of applause for me. Do that let's give myself about 4 seconds. Round of applause for yourselves for being here. And a bomb. A couple bombs. Because you're bomb. What's up? Kill you with truthers. Just know Monday through Thursday, Good News Travel Fast, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard, right here on the Kill You with Truth network of content. So the Nuggets right now are in the midst of the second quarter of their fire burning. In the midst of their second Emirates Cup game. They're faring better down there in Memphis versus the Grizzlies. Game number 3 without Joker. Thoughts and prayers, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Oftentimes we say thoughts and prayers. But wishing all the best to whatever it is the Joker's going through. I haven't really heard any skinny as to what it is, but I've heard that it's personal, and we'll leave it at that. So we just hope the best for Joker, the greatest basketball player in the world, but just as a human being, leave basketball out of it. Just as a human being, you always hope that whatever these things are, I mean, everybody's going through something, right? But I got an affinity for the big guy, so I hope that all is well. I hope all is well with you as well, and you and yours. Tonight, I did want to cover a couple of things, college football related, and then when there's time, we'll get back to some Nugget stuff, and then I'll get out of here for a little bit, and then DMAC will be back with 5 minutes to go left in the Nuggets game. I don't know if maybe I'll stay over. I'm going to join him for sure, but I don't know about getting off to get back on. Yeah, something's going to happen. We'll get you taken care of. I took a shot at Michael Irvin earlier because because it's fun. And the playmaker is a lot of things. And I got nothing personal against Michael Irvin. I more so have an extreme love for what I feel like is happening in Boulder with Coach Prime. And I'm tired of people trying to step on it. You know what I mean? I'm tired of excuse my French. I'm tired of people trying to step on my sports penis. I was gonna say my day, you know. Just leave it alone. Is it too much to ask to just allow Coach Prime to figure out what a college coaching career would be like before you guys are trying to save the Dallas Cowboys? Because truthfully speaking, does anybody give a shit if the Dallas Cowboys are shitty? No. Anyway, this is what Michael Irvin had to say earlier.
Today, you do believe, and I do too, that if Shador went to the Cowboys, Dion would accept the job.
I believe 100%. I can tell you, good sources have told me that. Great sources have told me that. That's all I can say like that without violating anything else.
So he said that, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, who are your sources?"
You
A
do
room full of
believe.
British pikeys, because come on, Michael Irvin kind of sounds like a black gypsy. Sounds like an old an old Southern gypsy. I do. Shut your ass up, boy, fool ass boy. Don't nobody cares what you believe, and I don't believe your sources, to be honest with you. Now, he does have a relationship with Prime. So, how do you think Prime felt about that breaking? Because this story is just not going to quit, right? As long as Dallas sucks, those of us who are loving what's going on in Boulder are going to continually hear about how Prime must want to go and coach Shador in the pros. He's got to want to follow his kid, right? It'd be such a cool story. When I say most of us, I mean most of the people who I call colleagues in the media. I used to call colleagues. I'm no longer in the media. I'm just a fan who gets a chance to work with other professional broadcasters, one of which I used to be, and give my opinions on sports and other things in the world. If you want to know more of my opinions on things outside of sports, @goodnews_travel_fast. Go follow me, subscribe on YouTube, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's a reaction channel. I react to everything. But on this one, we're reacting to sports. And I am very interested in what's going on in Boulder, as I'm sure are many of you. And the storyline is not going to end quick enough. And I guess it's going to be with us all the way until Coach Prime definitively puts a nail in the coffin. Would you call this definitive?
My follow-up would be basically, you're mentioned for everything that comes up these days, college, pro, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that just the
You
price
gonna
of
talk
winning?
like that with my AD in here? That's so disrespectful.
Disrespectful son of a. Keep going, Prime.
You gonna talk about me going somewhere with my AD in here? Yeah, they mentioned us with a lot of other stuff before we start winning too, didn't they?
That's pretty funny, because he went from being it'll never work. What did Sean Keeler call him? Something weird, like call him a failed prophet or something, a Pied Piper, some wild shit. He was just the most hated, because the media they hate to love Prime, and we know why. I heard a couple of the bros talking earlier about Prime's relationship with the media and bristly, and it's not enough to be liking him now. You had to always be on, and there's an air of that. I don't think that that's where the prickly relationship between Coach Prime and the media stems from. It stems from his time as a player, in which he carried himself a lot like he carries himself now. All right. Very confident. We have to have a social conversation about what is it about. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. What is it about Black confidence that makes, some establishments uncomfortable? I'm asking a serious question. What is it about it that makes, you know what I mean? It's like it's like a grin and bear it type of deal. Just hand the ball off to the refs type shit. It's like these guys, you know, when you talk about professionalism in sports, and I'm being honest, I look like a pro. You realize how ridiculous these men look when they're dressed up like football players. If you saw somebody walking down Colorado Boulevard or, you know, Monaco in full football regalia, not a kid coming from like Little League practice, you know, they look kind of ridiculous. You know, they got these gladiator suits on, you know. But there's this expectation that I feel like if you don't toe the line with the media, you're gonna have a hard time. That's always been Prime's kind of cross to bear, right? But I heard the rumbling, you know, he's got a prickly relationship with the media, and I saw the whole Sean Keeler thing, and we know how that unfolded, and then he got that media room right, didn't he? These press conferences are almost like hostage situations. Everybody's being held hostage by their niceties. It's fine. What's life without a little drama? Let me let him finish.
Did that wasn't fair, was it? Price. That's the price of everything. Yeah.
Coach Prime,
I'm
Philip
going with
Dukes
that.
went well off media.
I'm happy where. Hold on one second. I'm happy where I am, man. I'm good. I got a kickstand down. You know what a kickstand is? A lot of people don't in there and not of age don't know what a kickstand is. I mean, I'm resting. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm enthusiastic about where I am. I love it here. I truly do. Next question.
Now here's the question: is do we believe that? Because that wasn't a no, I'm not going anywhere. Does he owe us a no, I'm not going anywhere? Does he owe, I say us, I'm not drawing a check. I don't know the truth. I dropped out of college. So I'm not even a CU alum. I didn't even go to CU. Went to Mesa State on the Western Slope. Before it was Mesa University. Oh, it was Mesa State College. Yeah. Oh, never mind all that. I'm doing fine. Does he owe a definitive no? Because you don't want to look like a man who does not keep his word. You got a lot of young guys committing to the program. Is there any question that any of these and all these recruits that are coming? Well, one, because of the success that they've been able to have. Success. But two, because Prime and the whole feel of it. So he can't afford to get out there and be like, oh, I'm listening. I'm entertaining offers. So he says, I got my kickstand down. I got a kickstand down. I'm comfortable. That's not a no. It's not a yes, but it's not a no. It's a pretty uncomfortable place to be when you've drawn this much attention. This team was 1-11 2 years ago. Then last year it was like, oh, false prophet. That's what Sean Keeler, false prophet, because he's very poetic in how he speaks. And there's a lot of God. Plus, I want to get to one question that I heard asked during this. So, y'all got to do better. I'm sorry. If I'm going to be watching these things, I just need, you got the guys that are, everybody's trying to fall into a rapport with Coach Prime. And I think he demands, I couldn't imagine being in this press corps. So I will give y'all that. I know that it can't be an easy press room to be in because of how combative he can be. He's not the first coach like that, mind you. And the mixed signals, because he's smiling and it's God and it's blessed. And you know what I mean? I love all y'all and I want you to be your best. And then the next thing you see him basically cut into somebody. He hit you, to the white meat. Not quite to the white meat, but he's going to cut into you. And then I think everybody feels that little recoil, having been in media, in press rooms before and in media gaggles. There's an interesting relationship between the press and especially the sports media and the people they cover. And oftentimes, to be honest with you, it's because you got a bunch of fanboys in the room that are kind of geeking out like, you know what I mean? You want that acknowledgement. You want the elbow rub. You want them to meet you in the hallway and give you a high five, all that shit. I get it. There's a question I saw that it was just like, what are we doing? I should get to it now. Hold on. I have to point this out now, and then we'll get to the college football playoff, and then we'll talk some other stuff. I'll give you my opinion. You give me yours. You think Prime's going anywhere? Is it a foregone conclusion that this was just a stepping stone for Prime to come, get Shedeur to where he's going, and then head off into the sunset with him? Do you think Prime wants to coach on the NFL level? I don't think his act would work there. I don't think all of this.
I'm going with that. I'm happy with.
I don't think you would see. I don't think you'd see the same Prime effect on the pro level. I don't think so. Let me see if I can find this question real quick. I just some of these cats, man. I'm just like, what goes through your mind when you ask?
Oh, collectively got Miss Peggy.
Yeah, this was the question. It was this, and then what came right after it. I don't know.
Thank you.
Coach, first, just love the jacket, but Lincoln Roach, CU Independent.
Nice jacket, too. The throwback starter. Nice.
I love the onesie.
Thank you.
By the way, all the gear that Coach Prime has been amassing, all the CU gear that he's been amassing, if he just decides to leave after a year, what do you do with all that stuff? Do you still, I mean, do you put it on a plane and send it over to, needed kids in some third world country? There's just going to be a bunch of CU Prime gear. I don't, what do you do? Does the next coach come in and try and, be Prime after Prime, all the shades, all the black and gold gear? Doesn't it look like a guy who plans on staying a while? He's definitely buying he's definitely amassing a large wardrobe worth of CU shit, only to just move on in a year. Does that make sense? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. It was my grandpa's. So first, just did you get Miss Peggy a birthday present?
No, I didn't. I think we all collectively got Miss Peggy a birthday present.
So when I first heard that question, I was like, where are we going with this? But, I get it. Cute little interest piece.
And second, so for both you and Miss Peggy, obviously, religion has been a major part of your lives, both on and off the field. Has your relationship with her impacted your relationship with God in any way?
That's the one that I was just like, and okay, now I could be picking at nits. I can be very persnickety and very nitpicky, very judgy. I can be judgy. We're all. This is the Twitter effect. We're all very judgy.
Have my relationship with her impacted my relationship with God? I don't understand that question.
I didn't understand the question either. Are you trying to be cute and carve out yourself a special place? You know what I mean? Where you're the guy who asked it. And I don't mind in-depth questions, but the question just didn't make any fucking sense. You ask stupid questions, you win stupid prizes. Now, he answers the question very gracefully, but I can make a tie with Coach Prime's relationship with the media. I guess maybe it feels like, you can't ask your regular set of questions because, he was asked a question about pressure and he kind of applied some pressure on the question asker. You know what I mean? He's just got this interesting back and forth with the media. And I just, dare I say, this is more black than my beautiful Colorado has seen in a long time. There was Big Al, and everybody's like, whoa, just in the way that, you deal with them. This is more black than my beautiful Colorado has just had in its face in a long time, I feel like. Is that I'm in Bowie, Maryland now, so I'm in Black Beverly Hills. But especially Boulder, the clash between, I find it fascinating as a cultural, sociological experiment alongside the winning. I can't wait to get back, and I will be traveling back. I'll keep that under wraps until it's for sure, but I will be traveling back often for some business interests. But I can't wait to get up there and just feel what Boulder's like. Because I've been gone. I left just as before the season got underway. Before the I left July of last year. So you see what I'm saying? I left just before the season got underway. And so I didn't get a chance to. And I just, I'm just having fun. But it's interesting to me. I don't know if people quite know what to do with Prime. Anyway, I think he addressed that. And just to put a bow on it before we go to the college football playoff stuff. the story, a lot of the times it feels like the media is trying to find storylines that are interesting for them to write about, as opposed to looking into what's there and talking about that. You know, and I also believe that college football is shaking in its boots to have a guy like this get comfortable in a place like Boulder. This isn't an also ran. This isn't even Indiana, and I know that's a great situation that's going on. And we'll talk about the college football playoff and where the Hoosiers stand undefeated still. That'll change after this weekend when they play Ohio State. But what is a team with a 110 power ranking, a strength of schedule? I mean, what does that do for you after you get drubbed by Ohio State? Never mind that. I think it scares college football to have this guy in Boulder, because there's really, give me a better situation that he could, you could shuffle him off to, right? So that he's not soaking up every 5-star recruit that doesn't end up going to Alabama or Texas and I'm telling you, it's that serious. Juju Lewis, probably the top-rated high school quarterback, decommit from USC. A couple other high-profile IMG recruits, and he's already set it out. I'm looking for 10 guys, 10 to 12 guys that are going to contribute early, and then everybody else we're going to try and match out of the portal. He is uniquely equipped because of who he is to be a black hole of recruitment, and I guarantee you that the old guard wants him to move on quickly. I guarantee it. So, when Michael Irvin hops into the conversation and he's like, I have it on good authority. I'm like, do you though? Or are you just trying to get a headline? I mean, because I don't know if Prime would appreciate that in the middle of his run. Like, would Prime or someone within the camp give him that idea? Oh, I had one more, which is, I'm Rick George.
Well, look, we hope that Coach Prime finishes his career here. I think he can do significant things for us long-term with longevity. And I think Coach would sit here and tell you that he and I are on the same page about where we want this program to go. It's not a short-term fix. We want to set it up to be sustainable for the future. And I think what he's done has been incredible. I like the culture that he's created. I see it on a daily basis with his student athletes and his coaches. And like I said, I like where we're at. We've got a lot to do still moving forward, and we're on the same page on that. Well,
I mean, is that Rick George? I know that's probably an older clip, but is that Rick George like being hopeful? I'm Rick George. Is that Rick George just hoping against hope? So that was a month ago. Hoping against hope that Prime can't be wooed away. I mean, I personally just think as a businessman, making business decisions, which he seems to be very good at as well. Do you want to go work for Jerry Jones? You think Jerry Jones is interested in sharing the spotlight in Dallas with Coach Prime? You think that? You really think that? You think that interests him to have to report to, because right now, let's be honest. No offense to Rick George. I mean, who's going to tell him how to run his ship in Boulder? Obviously, they're going to collaborate. I'm not saying that Rick George is a little bitch. Obviously, there's going to be collaboration there. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, in a scenario like this, you're talking about handing over a program to a consummate recruiter and CEO and pitchman, and everything that comes with that, the business that comes alongside of that, everything that comes with that, doesn't seem like something that you just run off from because you want to, I don't know, follow Shador. I think, like I said, it just feels like a story that writers would love to write. It doesn't seem like something that a person thinking and looking at this properly. It's, you know what I mean? Winning a Super Bowl as a head coach in the NFL, is that the pinnacle of coaching success? That might be your pinnacle, but I don't know if that is everyone's. Why didn't Nick Saban find that all that enticing? Some guys really do know where their bread is best buttered, what they're best at. And it's a pretty damn good check. It's not like he's going to be hurting for cash. So it just feels like a story that the media would love to write. It also feels like some pressure that that guys like this would love to alleviate, because it's only going to get thicker. It's only going to get thicker. It's only going to get harder. So I ran across this earlier, and this is going into the college football playoff talk. I ran across this earlier, and no one likes SEC guy.
And we are supposed to continue to pretend like the same caliber football is being played. And a win is a win, and a loss is a loss, and 10-2 here is equal to 10-2 there. And it's not. It's not at all. I had one of my close dear friends tell me earlier today, the SEC and the Big 12 look very similar. No, they don't. There is a Grand Canyon's difference in the caliber of football being played in these two conferences. And they said, well, Josh, look at the top. It's really, really muddy and competitively balanced at the top. That's not the same thing, man. That's like where I grew up. There's a dirt track called East Alabama Motor Speedway. That's like saying East Alabama Motor Speedway is kind of like the Daytona 500. Well, there are cars that go in circles there. That's about the long and short of comparing East Alabama Motor Speedway to the Daytona 500.
Now, see, and this is going to play perfectly into this conversation, because I get it for the longest time, and I can't wait. That's why we got to give it, because he's not wrong in certain regard. He's not wrong. Right now, you can still look at, by the way, an SEC that has 4 former Big 12 schools in it: Texas, Texas A&M, Missouri. Who am I forgetting? Texas A&M, Missouri. I'm forgetting somebody. Oklahoma. 4 former Big 12 schools, which, all things being considered, they're not Big 12 schools anymore. So I'm talking about regionally, because that's what this comes down to. And everybody knows that as a region, SEC country breeds football players. Well, tell that to 1-13 in their last 14 games, Florida. You feel me? Like, Georgia's going to be Georgia, Bama's going to be Bama, Tennessee's going to be Tennessee, Ole Miss is going to be but I think that conversation has changed a lot. Now, top to bottom, and if you're looking at, if you were watching tonight, college football rankings came out. Let's give some time to Reese Davis and company.
Notre Dame, we mentioned the game that Notre Dame has against Army this weekend, and they'll finish up against USC on the road. Let's look at the top 5.
The drama.
Rangers.
Indiana stayed hot.
Below 100, one of the easier ones in the country. But this is a big test for them on Saturday against Ohio State to prove they belong.
This is the only test for Indiana in this entire season to prove that they belong.
Exactly.
Position.
You could say the same thing about Texas. Texas hasn't had a very strong schedule either.
But they do have to play a close game to prove they belong where they are.
Here's the question I would say to you. Would you have said the same thing about Michigan? Because their metrics and their schedule compares to what Michigan was last year.
Michigan who?
The Michigan.
The 500 ball club Michigan, they're not in this show.
That's Joey.
He's talking about last year.
Last year's Michigan. Yeah.
Last year's Michigan still had to beat Ohio State. I think that's why we just saw what happened to BYU. Right. They had some close games. Indiana hasn't had close games, but Indiana hasn't played tough teams. So we'll find out on Saturday. I think it is incumbent on the Hoosiers to play well. Number 4. Penn State. Penn State's only loss.
I like the Nittany Lions. I think the Big Ten's a strong conference this year as well.
Texas Longhorns.
Although Indiana's schedule, when you look at their strength of schedule, was like 110th in the nation. It's like, things, the way that they pan out. Let me just get to the meat. Let's get to the meat on the bone.
Boise State, because of where Boise State is ranked ahead of BYU from the Big 12. So right now, Boise State would, in fact, maybe there might be a seat.
So the Mountain West is now considered a power conference? Okay.
Ceiling on the
I'm telling you, when I was looking at all of this, all I could keep thinking was it's Colorado hate. That's all I could keep thinking about was Colorado hate.
Those are the teams that are seeded, not ranked, seeded 5 through 8. Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, Indiana, all would have home games. So let's look at the matchup. Oh, the Big Ten loves the idea of getting some of those.
So there's this bias, and we all know what it is. Let me pull up the rankings. There's this bias that exists, and it's right here. 7 through, like even having Miami up there. I think Miami's one loss was indicative of a team that, no, they deserve to be up. They deserve to be ranked just because of where they play. It's an ACC squad. This little glut right here, because this is in front of what I'm most interested in. And as things stand, BYU is going to win this weekend. BYU, okay. Colorado, what we want is a bye. That's what I would love to have. But I know Coach Prime's not worried about that. So I just need between now, if they win out, they're in. The question is where do you slate Colorado with 2 losses with this whole SEC bias? Where do you slate Colorado if they make it in? They catch BYU in the Big 12 championship game, smack them around, put belt to ass on BYU, because it's all about how you're playing. And when you're listening to that kid say, "Oh, you know, the competition is not the same," is a 10-2 win team out of the Big 12 the same as a 10-2 win team out of the SEC? Because the SEC is just the best conference since Jesus played football. Oregon and Colorado are no joke. You're absolutely right, Fred. Let me throw Fred up here. More teams in their conference, but Oregon and Colorado are no joke. Indiana, Boise, Oklahoma, Penn State, Clemson, LSU. Yeah, right. I'm just of the opinion that this is why I think that college football, we have to, as fans, have to devise a way, and I know they won't do it yet. We have to come up with a way for college football to feel okay with letting go of this ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12. It's time for those conferences to go, especially with the ridiculous conference shifts that we've seen. You know what I mean? Like, there are BYU ain't as talented or as good. We haven't even played a full game at our potential. I don't think it's even been close. Could you imagine once this team gets Jimmy? Okay, here's a question. Who has a better receiving core? I'm talking about starters and guys waiting in the wings than the University of Colorado at Boulder right now. Who has a better quarterback? Who has a better all-around college football player than Travis Hunter? And CU's defense, to its credit, has not only stepped up to the plate, they're establishing themselves as at least disruptive up front. And at the end of the day, what are you looking to do? At the end of the day, you're looking to run it up. They got 49. They hung 49 on a Utah team that, yes, was struggling, but had a defense that was formidable enough to not have 49 hung on it. And they didn't even play a good game. So I'm just saying, like, at this point, we as fans have to start petitioning these old school honks to change the way they look at this thing and just go for what y'all want anyway. It's just a money play. It's just a money play. Because this system of ranking, guys, I like you too, Fred. This system of ranking teams is so antiquated now that we're in an era where everyone can upfront and legally pay their players. And you know the SEC would like nothing more than to have this allure remain that SEC country is the best football that's ever going to get played. And and it's so hard to fight your way out of the SEC. You know the SEC, you know it's so hard to fight your way out of the SEC. A 4-loss SEC team's better than an undefeated Big 12 team, I'll tell you. The fuck up. There's got to be a way to convince them of what they already know. It's just about the money. And what they're paying homage to are these old, I imagine that all of these committees, all these conferences are headed by, don't get mad at me. Don't upset, don't get mad at me. It's just, it's about 10 to 12, elderly-ish white men sitting around, purring about the days of yesteryear and how football should be played and dirt. Meanwhile, you're standing in the way of major progress because the rankings as they stand right now are pretty fair, except if you're talking about a college football playoff bracket that can't hold as many teams as are in the top 20. Do you need a playoff field of 24 teams? You could do it if you just started. Look at the Emirates Cup in the NBA. So if you start having these, because these guys are the facade has been ripped down. College football is now in effect. It always has been, but I'm just saying in effect now, it is the minor leagues of professional football. Right? And you got 133 major minor leagues, and then you still got minors underneath them, those 133. You could do something that looks like Premier League soccer relegation, to where there's about, from the beginning of the season, there's about 60 or so squads that actually have a chance to really make a case for themselves, and then relegation for that bottom third. Let's say that bottom 20 teams can pop up in there, and you're playing your way towards the playoffs toward the end. It's just time. Because I could read all this shit. About BYU or about because this article here was talking about Boise State. Okay, so this from Andrea Adelson. Boise State moved ahead of BYU in the third installment of the rankings released by College Football Playoffs Selection Committee on Tuesday night, putting the Broncos in position to get a first-round bye ahead of the Big 12 champion. That makes no sense because they're not in a stronger conference. Am I to believe that the Mountain West? And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to be honest with y'all. And I know I don't want anyone to take this. I am about as egalitarian as they come. My ex-wife, now she's my ex-wife, so she won't have all the greatest things to say about me. She does define as X, meaning that we didn't make it all the way. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed, German girl from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Okay? But there are realities in our circumstance. And I do believe that the old guard sees the University of Colorado at Boulder with its high-profile leader in Coach Prime as a threat to the way of doing things. Because I don't even understand how. I'm going to keep reading. The top 5 remain unchanged with number 1, Oregon. I don't have a problem with any of this, by the way. Number 1, Oregon leading the way, followed by number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Texas. Notice that none of the top 5 are SEC schools, mind you, to SEC honk, who I played before. Number 4, Penn State. Number 5, Indiana. But the biggest story is the way that the committee dropped BYU after a 17-13 loss to Kansas, ended its unbeaten season. CU needs to be on notice. You cannot go into this game in Kansas City, in Arrowhead Stadium, and in any way, shape, or form take these dudes lightly. Just don't. Handle your business, eat your food, finish your food. This is the tune-up game. To me, this is your tune-up game to show that you are deserving, because there are still things to prove. BYU 9-1 moved down 8 spots from number 6 to number 14, falling behind number 12 Boise State. If that happened to BYU, imagine what they'll do to University of Colorado. Using current rankings, Oregon Big 10, Texas SEC, Miami. Texas hasn't had a strong schedule either, by the way. Miami ACC, Boise State Mountain West would be the 4 highest rated conference champions and would receive first-round byes in the 12-team playoff. BYU, Big 12, would be included in the playoff as the 5th highest rated conference champion. But it's just going away. Like, you don't see mention made of Colorado in this entire article. And this is where I'm going to point out to you the bias. There's not a bigger story, and there's not a bigger story in college football than Coach Prime and CU. It's just not. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Yes, this game needs to be a statement game. Agreed. Without question. Fishing. You have to, this has to be a belt to ass whooping, because they're not going to give us nothing. I say us. There goes that royal us, the royal we. It's fun. And I mean, the truth of the matter is that you got to earn it. And in year 2, apparently, even though it's the hottest thing going, and even though you're talking about a guy who, is there any question that Shedeur would at least be in the conversation for the Heisman were he not teammates with Travis Hunter? I mean, when you just look at the squad, maybe the Big 12 this year, like Iowa State was supposed to be much better than they are. Kansas was supposed to be much better than they are. I do believe Oklahoma State coming out the gate was supposed to be much better than they are. The Big 12 fell on its face when Utah, a round of injuries affected how their season, how Kyle Whittingham's team's season went. Who else am I forgetting about in the Big 12 that was just had a shit season where we thought that they would be better? That's enough, though. And then BYU kind of, did what they did, and then CU was not expected to be where they're at. So I can understand why the complexion to the committee or from the outside looking in is that, oh, well, the Big 12 is down. The Big 12 is down, or the Big 12 is not a strong conference, but when you're just talking about teams, talent, how they're playing, record, strength of schedule, competition that they've beaten, that Kansas State game, that's the other squad that didn't season didn't go as predicted. So that but that Kansas State, the one we left on the table with that, I said we again, the one that was left on the table with that Texas Tech too. Good grab, fishing. The one we left on the table with Kansas State just gave reason, that's that one extra loss, but that's not a quality loss still. I'm interested to see, because I know one thing. I don't know a lot about a lot, but I know a little bit about a couple things. And if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So as a sleeper, I don't see CU being excluded from this year's playoff field, because it's just great for ratings. Why wouldn't you want that? What you're going to find out is how much power does the old guard still have? And I'm telling y'all, just trust me on this. What you do then, if you're CU, until they break down, I don't know how long these conferences will stick around. What is it? Pac-12 has 2 teams in it. This is how that dying system is able to scratch, claw, to hold on. 2 teams? 2. UCLA is playing in the Big Ten. Like, what? It's just time for that system to die. Time to die. And it was time for it to die the minute that they admitted that we need to be paying these kids out loud. The quiet part out loud is that, if you were the big programs, payment was already being received and remitted. Quality loss to K-State, but their other losses make it a bad loss. Now, I know that retrospective math, that damn retrospective math is bullshit. Beating Kansas nullifies K-State law. I agree. Because I think what you're looking at in Kansas is, especially with their win over BYU, it's just like, okay, you can't tell us this isn't a lay down, no-brainer for the Buffs to win going away. It's going to take an effort, and they cannot play with their food. But I know they know that. And it's just one of these situations where it's all in front of you. How many times do you really see that? How many times do we really get to see this type of a story in sports? Not often. And everything that happens this year, I do believe will play into whether or not Coach Prime makes it definitive that he's staying in college football. I think to this point, he's seen what the possibilities are. He's seen, and to be honest with you, I think a little blood in the mouth. I think a little slight. It maybe not ending in championship glory, which no one would ever want. Fuck it, like let's win the whole goddamn thing. I think that would encourage him to stay more because he does strike me as the personality that's like, you're not going to tell me what I can't do. You're not going to tell me what I can't do. I am so sick of the old, grabby, scratchy, clawy, refuse to let go college football regime, not just recognizing that it's time to move on from that model. But this is what I was going to say. And I've said this before on here, but I'm going to keep saying this because I want y'all to know it's my idea. When it happens, it was my idea. Sure, Rick George and Coach Prime will pull it off, but it was my idea, all right? You guys with me? Listen. All you got to do is drop out of the Big 12. Conversation over. Look at Notre Dame. Drop out of the Big 12. Go independent. Sign a TV deal with Prime. Duh. They're already airing his reality series. He's got a show on Tubi. Do not sign a live sports contract with Tubi. I'm just telling y'all, to my melanin challenged brethren, if you've never watched Tubi, it's like BET late night stretched out over a 24-hour program period. But there are some good dope movies on Tubi. Old school stuff. Sanford and Sons on Tubi. It's just, it's the hood on TV. So don't do Tubi, do Prime. You listen to me, Rick George. I'm Rick George. Listen. And off we go into the $100 million television deal, blue fucking yonder. Let's fucking go. What? Could you imagine what this program would be able to do if they have unlimited resources that now can be combined with booster dollars? Oh, a rising tide lifts all boats. We're talking about a Coach Prime that has hinted at the fact. He's like, oh, y'all don't have no baseball program. He loves baseball. This now gives air to CU women's basketball, CU men's basketball, that baseball team that's soon coming. All CU sports are aired now on Prime. So now, because one thing that all y'all have to realize is that the people in Boulder, the lovely people in Boulder, and all CU fandom needs to realize you are now sharing your buffs with all of Black America. You have to know this. The Colorado Buffaloes are Black America's version of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm telling you. I got a cousin. So on my mom's side, we're Guyanese. Quick story, and then I'm going to get out of here because I know I'm going to take some time off, and then me and D-Mac will be back for the final 5 minutes of the Nuggets game. Nuggets right now comfortably ahead of Memphis. They didn't have John Morant, so which is good to see, by the way. It's good to see that the Nuggets got off tonight and I don't give a damn who you had to beat. Get a win. It was starting to look scary. Anyway, I got a cousin. Shout out to my cousin Mike. On my mom's side, we are Guyanese. So when I say Guyana, think Georgetown. If you don't know Georgetown, you don't know Guyana. Think about Jim Jones. Remember the guy with the Kool-Aid, the 500 people? That's where my peoples is from on my mom's side. On my dad's side, we're from the Congo. Another tragic tale of I'm first generation American is the point. My cousin, born in Guyana, Esquibo. This Guyanese man lives in New York, traveled to Boulder, Colorado for CU versus Cincy because he just loves Prime. So if you were in Boulder and you saw a big, burly guy who talked like this, because we have a sing-songy talk, the way that the Guyanese, the way that we speak is very sing-songy. It's not the Jamaican. It's not a Jamaican raw. It's more sing-songy. We speak like this. So if you saw my cousin, big burly man, and he come to you and he says, hello, I just come to see Prime, and he's got big long dreads. That was my cousin Michael. It's a real effect. The Prime effect is real. Now, I've had this conversation with CJ, and I have reason to believe that he had this conversation with Chad Brown, because Chad Brown was trying to offer up my thoughts as his own. What if CSU and ASU ended up in the Big 12 championship game? That would be the last two teams preseason picked. Wow. Wheels or Wheeling, Rich, I had no idea about that. I think that would be, so how does that, you have to tell me how that will work out. Like I said, I know a lot about a little bit. I don't know a lot about a lot. Give me the scenario how that works out. So both teams went out and what, BYU loses its last 2 games. Is that how ASU would end up in it? I mean, I know, obviously I know CU's path. I don't quite know ASU's path. Game's already over, LOL. Okay. I never thought like you, or the big picture is going to be unbelievable. Yeah. I think that we're talking about watching Nuggets TV and listening to the show. Oh, I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that, Fred. I think we're talking about a career for Coach Prime that's a decade plus. I'm talking about him being, I am hilarious. Brought my own laugh track. That one guy who's like, that's how you listen to the CU gaggles too. What's so funny about the CU media gaggles is you can hear the forced laughter from some guy. Please, Prime, don't kick me out. We're watching y'all. You guys are flailing. It'll be all right. Colorado press corps. You'll learn how to get along. All you gotta do is be a real human being. You know what I'm saying? I think part of what throws people off about Prime is that it's very in your face. I would imagine that it's and again, that we're talking about breaking down norms, not even just cultural now, because it is a culture, because football is a culture, and the relationship between football players, football coaches, and the media has always been we ask you guys questions that elicit answers where you don't have to say anything. So how did you feel about the game today? Well, we blocked well, we tackled well, we played well in all 5 phases of the game. 5 phases? All 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, special teams. We just know we're going to, it's one game at a time, every game. You know what I mean? So the relationship this thing hasn't changed. You know what I mean? The type of questions that are being asked and the type of answers that it solicits, it's just drone. And then you got a guy like Prime that steps in, who's very bombastic. He's very preachy. It's very, it's very much like that preacher. You ever been to church with that one preacher? Like, I'm not sure if I should put my money in the collection plate. Are you taking it? Is that where them suits is coming from? Or you told me Jesus bought those? It's just, it's a very, what is that? What would I call them? Presses milk toast. And so they are used to deriving the same mundane answers. And every once in a while, somebody's got to really, who doesn't do that and why y'all love him? D-Mac. Mac shook up the Denver sports world because he started to ask tough questions. Because it's, if you haven't ever been in a media gaggle, it is kind of intimidating when the guy's looking back at you and he's like, don't ask me no dumb shit. You could see it on their face. They're like, don't ask me no dumb shit. But anyway, the opportunity. Okay, I got an answer to my question. ASU would have head-to-head over BYU. Oh, come on, ASU. I feel much better about. I'll be honest with you. Can I keep it 1,000? I would much rather see ASU in the Big 12 championship than BYU, and I'll tell you why. Because BYU does that thing that I do believe wins championships. At the end of the day, can you turn around and hand the ball off and run the ball? You feel me? That is, and they seem to have something. They seem to have something. Yeah, I wouldn't want. I'm not scared of seeing none of them because I think that CU is going to hang from this point forward. If the Utah game was any indication of what we have waiting for us in the wings, I think we're going to be talking about a pro-style offense that's able to. You better be able to score upwards of 4 touchdowns a game if you even want to be in the conversation with beating CU. And I think that's how they'll win a national championship. Okay, totally did. We worked a Clear Channel together. I was on a sister station. You already know then. Fred, Mac came in, and then people were like, you can ask that? And it's like, yeah, dumbass. Like, what? You've been spending all this time trying to kiss Mike Shanahan's ass or kiss this coach's ass or, you know what I mean, trying to make sure you don't get kicked out of the meeting room for just asking. And Mac pushed the line. And I always think he made me a much better broadcaster, to be honest with you. It's just, I learned so much from that cat because it really is about, you got to let people know who you are, what you're on, you know what I mean? And establish yourself in a way that just You dig and he came out of the rock world. So I think that there's that. There wasn't this, I guess, inherent fear or that. This is the thing I'm talking about. It all does tie in together. It's the SEC bias. It's the, you turn your hand of football to the ref. All these things are being shaken up and changed in college football, and people fear change. See, I'm more of a sociologist than I am a sports. D-Mac was one of the first questions on 08 leadership as a GM. And that who would question my high Jesus other than our own, our very own? That's why we love him. That's why we love him. Mac is the real deal. Because at the end of the day, it's just fucking sports, man. Cats get all tied up and wound up. I gotta go, y'all. I've gone way over. So what's gonna happen is I really appreciate all who came in, but I want to give time to go down, and then we'll be back though. So just stay tuned. We'll be back. 5 minutes to go left in the Nuggets game. We'll be back up. Y'all are awesome. A round of applause for yourselves and a bomb. If you like what you're hearing here, do me a favor. Go over to YouTube, type in good news _travel, no S, fast. Just give me a follow as we're trying to build over there. I'm trying to build there, build here. I'm trying to get over there. I got some money over here. I got to go get more. I got a baby on the side. You know what I'm saying? Help out if you like what you're hearing. If not, just lurk and listen. I'm all good with all of it. I'm not a huge like and subscribe guy, but this is how you build these things. Make sure that obviously you're liking and subscribing everything that happens here on Kidding with Truth, KUWT. You feel me? You understands me? I am Oren Lamena. I'm very appreciative of your time. Like I said, 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go left in the Nuggets game. The notification is going to hit you. So just come back up here and we'll hop back in here and do our thing. You feel me? I'm way over time. So I appreciate y'all. Have a good evening. Until 30 minutes from now. Soon as the check cash go hard, get to acting an asshole. Ring at the root. All right.
And now it's time to play everybody's favorite game.
Good news. Good news.
We are talking about combination. Jesus Christ. We can't run.